All right, what's going on YouTube? We gonna try to make this video as quick as possible, man, but still give you guys enough details and information on why I'm placing certain legends on tier list. And I'm gonna give you guys just a quick and brief summary as to why certain legends are in the list of where they are. So without further ado, man, and without stalling anymore and taking up too much of you guys' time, let's go ahead and jump into the video. Okay, so we're gonna start with D tier, man, and we're gonna talk about two legends that I feel are in D tier and are deserving of it. First is Octane. Octane is a D tier legend simply because he's not useful at all when it comes to rank. Now, granted, if you're just really good at the game, then you can pretty much use any legend, but I'm talking about like comp level, you know what I mean? Like at those with the pros and when people going in the tournaments, you're not gonna see an Octane being pulled out. It's not to say that he's not a fun legend, because he's probably one of the more fun legends, but the fact that he brings nothing to the team prevents him from being anything higher than a D tier. And if they just did something as simple as have his launch pad be another like mini redeploy launch pad or something like that, where you're flying in the air as if you're taking a jump tower, then I believe Octane his usage would jump up tremendously. Like he would be probably one of the most played legends, because people would use that as a kind of a get out of jail free card, but everybody could use it, so everyone would benefit off of it. So I just think that's what they could do to make Octane potentially a B tier legend if they gave him that, potentially. And then the next legend is Loba. Loba is D tier because they have yet to do anything to fix her. The long drawn out animation of her bracelet, it's unnecessary. And then it was buggy in certain maps, and then it wouldn't work in certain areas and they had to fix it. And she just had a lot of issues, and the bracelet could be good, but it's not as good as I thought, and probably not as good as a lot of other people thought. And it's actually one of her biggest weaknesses, because you can easily get a decent amount of shots off before she lands with the bracelet, and then even when she does that long animation to put it back on, and when you're not able to use your gun, you're an easy target. So Loba is definitely D tier, but had a strong potential to be A tier in my opinion. All right, so now moving into C tier, we got three legends here, and starting us off, we gonna go ahead and put Mirage out there. Mirage is a C tier legend because he's another legend he's really fun to play, but he doesn't bring too much to the table when it comes to comp, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you can hit people with a bamboozle here and there and it'll throw him off, but he does nothing for the team. And I know some people will probably think, well, I can res people and be invisible, but they really kind of tried to nerf that, because it was in Respawn's defense, they felt that it was overpowered. So now whenever you get close, he becomes visible again. And I'm not saying that it's still not a good thing to have, it's not a good ability, but it's not enough to push him to be one of the higher tier legends and a must have in your squad when you're running ranked. So I say Mirage is a C tier. He's fun, he's got his cool little gimmicks and everything, but I just think he's an okay legend when it comes to Apex Legends. He's not game changing or anything like that, and that's just my honest opinion on Mirage. Everybody else might think differently, but I'm just giving you guys my opinion on the legends and where they rank. Next in this list, we have Rampart. Rampart, honestly, there's nothing wrong with her like that. Like, there's no big issues. I just don't know if she does bring that game-changing thing to, you know, a squad game in ranked. Her shield is definitely nice, in the fact that it boosts up any gun's damage. You know, that's really good. And her ult, which I thought was going to be dumb OP, it's really strong and it's dangerous whenever someone uses it, but it's not like, oh god, this is breaking the game. You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't break the game, and I'm not trying to make it seem like you have to break the game in order to be in the higher tiers. Like, I think Rampart is a very balanced legend, and honestly, she's probably the best legend that they put out at launch. So Rampart is a really good legend. She's really fun, very balanced. I just don't know if she has enough to push her over to be like a B tier, which is like, hey, you kind of could really use a Rampart in your team. If you didn't have her, it's okay. But so honestly, I say Rampart is probably my first legend that I say is C tier / B tier. If you wanted to bring her to ranked, then you could, especially if you had somebody who was really good with Rampart, you know? So, I mean, if you wanted to bring Rampart, she's not a liability like that. So I would say Rampart is in a up and down type of spot. Good, but not bad at all. She's just balanced. So that's my thoughts on her. And then finally we have Pathfinder. I'd say Pathfinder dropped all the way to C tier because they already messed up his grapple, which you have to wait a lifetime for it to come back because they were trying to balance it. And his zip line, they kind of nerfed the zip line just because we're gonna get cross plat eventually. So there are just certain things that people on PC can do that we can't do on PlayStation. Now granted, I do have a PC myself, so I could just switch over to both, but I get why they were doing it. But even recently, when they gave Crypto and Bloodhound the ability to scan beacons, it just took away from Pathfinder's uniqueness. So now they're searching for a way to make Pathfinder unique again. And to me, it's kind of like a RIP to Path, you know, probably the most fun legend to play, especially when he had all those crazy grapples that he could use. But as of right now, it just feels like Pathfinder's dead. Not to say that you still can't be a good Pathfinder. You can still be a really good Pathfinder. There's a lot of them. And honestly, if they just tweaked Path a little bit and made him a little more unique, I say he's back up to B tier. Because honestly, Pathfinder is still a good pick in ranked. If you pull out a Pathfinder, there's nothing wrong with it because you can get up to the higher places that a lot of people can't get. So I would say, truthfully, Pathfinder is also a C, potentially B tier legend. You know, I'm still gonna put a lot of respect on Pathfinder's name. I think he's still very useful in a ranked game. You just don't see him much anymore because a lot of Pathfinder mains are upset and they feel like he's dead. And I understand. So Pathfinder is definitely another legend that's back and forth on that list. And if you bring him out in rank, that's not a bad choice. All right, to try to keep it moving real fast, man, we're going to quickly go through B tier. And starting this off in B tier, we're going to go ahead and go Bangalore. Bangalore to me is just going to be in the B tier because I feel like they could actually give her a buff. She hasn't gotten touched since the last time they somewhat nerfed her double time. So I think there needs to be some type of buff for Bang, maybe potentially with her ult. I don't know if they would change it completely or just make it to where it goes off a little quicker because there's no real threat whenever Bangalore uses her ult. It's kind of just like a, hey, we're using it to clear the field type thing. And I mean, yeah, there's still strategy behind it, but it doesn't do any real damage to people unless they just are dumb and get caught up in it. So I think there needs to be a slight change to Bangalore. Her smoke and everything is fine. Maybe give her double time back to normal speed and change the ult, and I think she'd be fine. I think Bangalore could be an A tier legend if they just messed with her a little bit and gave her like a little buff. Next is Caustic. Caustic is a really good legend if you bring him over into rank. Obviously everybody knows what that gas is about and how he can bunker down an area and pretty much hold it down to the last circle. And Caustic can a lot of the times win you a game. So I think Caustic is a very solid legend. To me, he's a must-have legend on the team if you are running in squads. So if you know you're thinking of, oh, who should our third legend be, depending on who your first two are, I would say Caustic is a great legend to go with. He's not a fan favorite. A lot of people don't like Caustic, but he's really good, and there's no denying the fact that Respawn did a really good job with that last buff they gave him, and I think he's in a perfect spot. So Caustic is B tier, really strong legend. I like where Caustic is right now. Next on this list, we have Wattson. Wattson, I definitely debated on whether or not she was A tier or B tier. I think she's another legend who can teeter between B and A tier because she's so good. I personally am not good with Wattson, but I definitely seen some really good Wattson pull off some crazy plays with her Tesla wires and her ult, which is now only 90 seconds, thankfully, but it's still really good because she can put out 3. I mean, I really can't say too much about Wattson besides the fact that she's a really good legend that a lot of people are asleep on. I know a lot of the pros aren't because they know how useful she is, but Wattson is a really good legend who is deserving of B/A tier. So there's Wattson. And then finally we have Crypto, which thankfully they finally did buff. I like the buffs that they gave Crypto. The fact that his drone can scan the beacons and immediately let you know where the next ring is, and you don't have to put yourself at risk. The fact that you can also revive with the drone so you don't have to put yourself at risk. It can still scan the banners and let you know how many teams are around. Crypto is just all around very useful. I think the only thing holding him back from being A tier is the fact that he has to constantly be in that drone and can't move himself, which holds him back from being A tier. If they gave him like a slight buff, like maybe the drone hovers above him, I don't know how high they would make that, but hovers above him to where it just follows him on autopilot. And the only downside would be now if people see that drone following you and they hear it, they know Crypto's right there. So I think it would be a good buff. I don't know, you guys let me know in the comments, but I think that's the only thing keeping Crypto from being A tier. But nonetheless, I still love Crypto. He's a really good legend, very strong, and a good Crypto on your ranked team is definitely a valuable thing to have, and people enjoy it. A tier right now is gonna be Revenant and Lifeline. Rev is definitely an A tier legend because of all the buffs that they kept giving him. Respawn did a really good job with his death totem, the fact that it has no area that it's limited to, you know, it's got unlimited range. I think that's really good. It changed the game in Apex Legends. Well, considering ranked, it changed the game of that, where that's a slower pace thing. Rev made it to where now it can be fast paced and we can push like crazy because of the death totem. Like, his tack is still really good too, but the fact that that death totem allows you to push fights without having to second guess anything is really good. So I think Rev is deserving of being an A tier legend. He came from being a D/C tier in my opinion in the beginning, and now he's all the way at an A. So Revenant is definitely deserving of that A tier list, and Lifeline is deserving of the A tier list as well, because after she got that buff, well, some people, if they were Lifeline mains and didn't like it, they would say a nerf. But to me, I enjoy it because now she can pick somebody up with her drone and still be able to help in a gunfight. So it's not just a 1v whatever you're going up against, 3 or 2. Now it's Lifeline can still help while you're being rezzed. And on top of that, she gets a little protection if she wants to play around with that shield some. I know that the fast heals are something that people enjoy, but I still think Lifeline is one of those legends that's like, hey, we could really use a Lifeline on our team. And honestly, if you picked Lifeline, there will be zero complaints, especially if you're a good Lifeline and you're really healing people and you're picking people up when you should be. There will be zero complaints for anybody who chooses Lifeline. She's a really good legend, strong legend, and I like where she is, and I kind of hope Respawn does not touch her again, unless they want to fix her ult one more time. And now for S tier, I'm sure you guys already know the 3 legends I seen here, man, and I think these legends are definitely deserving of it, but we're gonna go with Wraith first. I honestly still don't really like the fact that she has that movement slow thing where she has to do her Naruto ninja hand sign before she can phase out. But regardless of that, she's still very useful. You just have to learn how to work around that. And honestly, I feel like majority of people who are playing Wraith now understand how to use that. And me myself being a Wraith main, I told myself that I was going to learn how to use it anyways, so I did. I think that's the only real downside to it, because even though her portal is 20% smaller, that's fine. It's not a huge nerf or anything like that. You can still make a lot of crazy plays with Wraith. She can get you guys in and out of a lot of trouble with that portal without taking damage. Wraith is just a very useful legend, and she continuously survives every nerf and change that they throw at her. So Wraith is definitely deserving to be S tier. She's a must-have legend on your team. If you have a Wraith, your chances to win are pretty damn high, especially if you have a good Wraith. Next is Gibby. Gibby, even though he's been getting some nerfs here and there, Gibby is still a really strong legend. The fact that he has that dome shield that can help you in open fields so you don't have to take shots. His airstrike is a much better Bangalore ult. You know, it comes down immediately and does some serious damage. And then he has the arm shield, which is an extra life or extra armor on top of the armor that he has. So if you already have a Gibby with red Evo on top of the armor and fortified, that's just a scary combination. So Gibby is a very strong legend. He is also another legend I would say having in the lineup would be valuable. And he can pick you up pretty quick inside that dome shield. So it's like you have a lifeline and you're really not losing nothing. And now finally, Bloodhound. Bloodhound is the new favorite legend in Apex, and everybody's been running Bloodhound. Bloodhound is so useful because you can scan and see where people are hiding. You can see if there are people inside of buildings camping with a caustic or a Wattson. You don't have to just run into death traps anymore. They put it to where now Bloodhound uses the Beast of the Hunt, and now they can scan every 6 seconds and pretty much ruin a team's whole little camping area, and now you know what's going on. So Bloodhound has become a fan favorite. I'll be honest, I've had the most fun with Bloodhound. I feel like I've even become a Bloodhound main myself. Like, I haven't stopped using Bloodhound. It's just they're so useful. Like, honestly, if I'm not using Bloodhound, I kind of feel a little awkward because I don't know where footprints are. And I'm kind of nervous on if a team's gonna pull up on us, and I don't know who's hiding around the corner. So Bloodhound adds a different dynamic to the team. And last season, Bloodhound had even jumped up to a B tier in my opinion, because people started realizing Caustic was so strong that they needed to have like a Bloodhound to scan a building and let them know what was going on in there. So Bloodhound has jumped all the way up to S tier in my opinion. It's hard to say if Bloodhound is gonna stay here next season or even in the second half of the season, but I think the lowest Bloodhound drops is A tier because everybody enjoys a good scout and can't go wrong with adding Bloodhound to your squad. So honestly, I think Wraith, Gibby, and Bloodhound are some of the best ones. But even then, I've played where me and my friend go Bloodhound, Rev, and a Wraith. That's even a really good combo. So you guys just got to mess around with it, but I would definitely say a Wraith or a Bloodhound or Gibby. You need to have one of those 3 S tiers, and then you can mess around with the A and B tier legends. But I suggest that you have one of the S tier legends and then mess around with everyone else. But that's my video, man. That's gonna do it for my tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If there were any like, oh, we didn't agree with that, or you should have placed them higher, let me know in the comments and give me your reason as to why you believe they need to be higher, and we can talk about it. And yeah, with that, man, I'll catch you guys in the next video.